from WJLA 24/7 News. This is 24/7 News at 10 on your side. We begin with a breaking news alert.
And first at 10, a major and developing story. After years of debate and renewed pressure in recent weeks, the name change for the Washington Redskins could happen much sooner than first thought. ABC 7's Scott Abraham is live right now. And Scott, you just learned new information in the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, Carl, we knew things were moving quickly, and just like you said 15 minutes ago, a major breakthrough in a sense, multiple reports, but this one is pretty solid because according to Ben Fisher of Sports Business Daily, tomorrow morning, Washington and team owner Daniel Snyder plan to announce that it will retire the Redskins nickname. Now, the report also said the new team name will not be announced immediately because trademark issues are pending. This has dramatically been very quick on behalf of Snyder and his front office team. Remember, just 9 days ago, they announced that they're going to be a thorough review of the Redskins name, and it looks like, according to multiple reports, that not only are the Redskins team names, that's going to be retired on Monday morning, but they're going to be moving forward before the 2020 start of the season with a new team name. Now, I also caught up with ESPN reporter John Keim earlier tonight to get his take on this latest development.
Well, let's see what the name is first, because I say that because if it ends up to be the Warriors, then it's a name that Dan Snyder has always kind of favored. If it ends up in that way, then I say I'm not surprised by the speed because there was a preference for that name previously. If they go in a different direction, then yes, I'd be really surprised by the speed because we went from thinking he'd never change it to now a week and a half before training camp, it could be done. It is regardless, it is very fast.
Now, in that Ben Fisher report, there's no timetable per se of when they're going to announce the new team name. All that report said is that the Redskins team name, the Redskins name, will be retired tomorrow morning. So in terms of that team name, it seems like there's three candidates right now: Warriors, Red Tails, and Red Wolves. The last two, Red Wolves and Red Tails, seem to be getting a lot of traction on social media. Warriors seems to be in favor of Daniel Snyder, who in the past wanted to name his Arena League football team that he was interested in the Washington Warriors. So a major development today. We'll have much more on this a little bit later in sports. But again, the Redskins team name expected to be retired tomorrow morning. Carl?
All right, Scott, thank you very much for that. Now, of course, this debate has been in the headlines for years, including back in 2017 when the team had to shut down some pretty convincing internet rumors. Activists created a fake website, a fake logo, and Twitter account claiming the team had changed the name to the Washington Red Hawks. It was shared all over social media, but the team went on the record saying the Redskins name was here to stay. Well, Native advocates later revealed that they were behind that hoax, saying they wanted to show the team and the NFL how powerful a name change could be. Well, this time around, the name change appears to be much more real, as you heard from Scott. The sponsor of the team's stadium, FedEx, has formally asked the team to change its name. And Amazon, Walmart, Target, and Nike all pulled the team's gear from their websites. And just a few weeks ago, a monument to the founder of the original owner of the Redskins was removed. The George Preston Marshall Monument sat outside of RFK Stadium, where the team used to play, before moving to FedEx Field. Marshall was well known for opposing integration in the NFL. The words "change the name" had been spray painted on the monument before it was taken down. Now, we want to know what you think about the name change. You can vote right now on WJLA.com/vote now. The results will be on the bottom of your screen. And tonight, 7 on your side, hit the streets to ask if it's time for something new or if the team should stay the course. Most of the D.C. visitors that we spoke with say it is time to move on.
I think that it's definitely a move. I think it's the right move. It's worth, it was probably something overdue for the people that live in D.C. I think that most people were in favor of changing the name, especially, well, obviously because of the racist connotation.
I can understand how it could be offensive to many, but, I have no mind with changing it because, it's a positive change. It's not nothing negative. It's more so going into a positive direction, so I don't really see much of a big deal about it.
I think it needs to be done, and I think it's something that we've been discussing for a long time. I think it's overdue. Well,
some of the name change options we've heard from you on the street and on social media. the DC Warriors, the Washington Braves, and the Washington Red Wolves. One Facebook follower even said the team should be called the Washington Bipartisans. That would be nice. Well, remember, you can share your thoughts by voting right now on WJLA.com/vote now, and we'll show you the results again over on ABC 7 News at 11. Now, as this debate continues and a possible decision from the team approaches, we will be holding a virtual town hall this week to discuss the racial divide, football, and the Washington Redskins. A look at how the team's name change sparked a nationwide debate. That's Tuesday night right here on WJLA 24/7 News. And now to the coronavirus pandemic. An explosion of COVID-19 cases and a record-setting day in the U.S. Florida today reporting more than 15,000 new cases. That is the highest number reported in a single day by any state since the pandemic began. And tonight we've now topped 150,000 confirmed cases in the DMV. In Virginia, the 7-day moving average is trending upward. Take a look at that yellow line there. On Monday, the average number of new cases in the Commonwealth was 559. On Thursday, that number was up to 608. Well, today, that number is now up to 703. Just about 3 weeks ago, the 7-day average was consistently right around 530 new cases per day. And this is the latest from Maryland. The blue bars show the total testing, and the gray line shows the percentage of positive tests. The positivity rate is still below 5%, even with a record amount of testing this weekend. Maryland tested more than 21,000 people in the last 24 hours. And in the district, today marks day 6 of continued decrease in confirmed cases since phase 2 began. The city needs 14 days of decrease before the mayor will consider moving into phase 3 of reopening. Well, several Ocean City bars are having to shut down once again after some of their employees tested positive for COVID-19. At least 6 employees at 3 different restaurants have coronavirus. Now, you can find a full list of the places that had to close down on our website, WJLA.com. Well, a deadline is quickly approaching for parents in Fairfax County. By Wednesday, each family must decide on a plan for school this fall, all virtual or in person 2 days a week. But U.S. Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos is doubling down on her criticism of the county's back-to-school plan. She says the options being offered by the district are not enough. DeVos also threatening funding could be at risk if schools decide to stay closed. 7 on your side tonight with team coverage as districts all over the DMV formulate back-to-school plans and as leaders in Washington weigh how to move forward. We begin with ABC 7 Northern Virginia Bureau Chief Tim Barber.
There is nothing in the data that would suggest that kids being back in school is dangerous to them.
On CNN, Education Secretary Betsy DeVos kept repeating her talking points. The federal government wants schools to reopen this fall.
Families need for kids to get back in the classroom, and it can be done safely. Well, there are guidelines that are very clear and also very acknowledging that situations are going to be different.
Secretary DeVos is also still blasting Fairfax County's plan to offer students 2 days of in-person learning and 3 days of virtual learning, or all virtual learning, as Fairfax County parents only have 3 more days to make a decision.
These are not valid options and choices for families, and it's not full-time instruction.
But Fairfax County Superintendent Scott Brabrand says the school district would need to build 5 Pentagon-sized buildings to keep their 188,000 students 6 feet apart. Face coverings will be required, but many teachers and parents are calling for virtual instruction as cases climb across the country.
Have them spend the day with the mask, and their feedback on how they feel about that may help guide you between now and July 15th when you have to make a decision.
The CDC says the lowest risk is virtual learning. More risk includes smaller classes with social distancing, and high risk is full-sized in-person classes. Reporting in Fairfax County, Tim Barber, ABC 7 News.
Outside of City Hall in Minneapolis, a small crowd with a big ask: reopen schools in the fall. It's a demand made by President Trump this week as well, in a tweet vowing to cut federal funding for schools that don't reopen. Education Secretary Betsy DeVos now doubling down on that threat.
American investment in education is a promise to students and their families. If schools aren't going to reopen and not fulfill that promise, they shouldn't get the funds.
It's unclear how that would happen since Congress controls funding. The Speaker of the House calling White House demands a dereliction of duty.
The president and his administration are messing with the health of our children. It is We all want our children to go back to school. Teachers do, parents do, and children do. But they must go back safely.
Just a few questions in need of answers. How much funding will be needed to keep schools and educators safe? Should students go back part-time or full-time? What to do if there's an outbreak? And what about working parents who rely on their children being in school while they go back to work? Decisions mounting for families all over the country and for officials in Washington, for whom the clock is ticking with no clear solution in sight. I'm Christine Frizzell reporting.
Well, in Montgomery County, school officials released the first draft of a fall plan this weekend. School leaders are considering starting the school year entirely online. Parents are being asked to give feedback, and the board will discuss plans at its meeting on Tuesday.
And outside right now, we are tracking a couple of scattered showers that are working their way across the district. In fact, if you look down to our south and to our east, that is where we're seeing some of those showers right now, especially over portions of southern Maryland through portions of Charles County and over into southern Prince George's County, from Port Tobacco Village up towards Waldorf, and even a couple of strikes of lightning intermixed there with that little cell pushing through. Off to the west, a few more light showers trying to work their way through Little Washington for our friends out in Rappahannock County. So we do have some scattered rain out there, and that should dissipate in just a little bit. Downtown, it is the mildest spot right now at 80 degrees, but mid-70s from Chantilly to Gaithersburg, 73 Manassas right now. Martinsburg checking in at 70 degrees. As far as your forecast for tomorrow, a mix of clouds and sunshine, isolated storm chances, highs tomorrow, upper 80s, close to that 90-degree mark. Will the streak keep going? We'll talk more about that in the 7-day forecast coming up in just a bit.
All right, we will see you then, Brian. Thank you very much. Well, coming up, a big change coming to the Black Lives Matter Plaza. After weeks of protests, tomorrow this area will look very different. Plus, a massive fire breaks out on a naval ship. The new details we've learned about how many people were hurt and why officials are concerned about the days ahead. Well, right now, an investigation is underway after at least 21 people were injured in an explosion and fire on a ship at a naval base in San Diego. We're told 17 of those are sailors and 4 are civilians. About 200 sailors and officers were on board at the time. All personnel are accounted for tonight. The ship was undergoing routine maintenance at the time of that explosion. Crews on the scene say the fire could burn for days. And a big change is coming to Black Lives Matter Plaza. Today marks the final day that vendors will be able to set up shop. It's become part of the scene there, really. ABC 7's Justin Hinton went to Black Lives Matter Plaza today, where vendors say they just learned about this move on Friday.
It's beautiful down here.
Little Aaliyah got more than she thought she would when she came to Black Lives Matter Plaza for the first time.
She sees all these t-shirts and all these people, black, white, whomever, who are down here, and it just makes her feel like, yeah, she's part of a community, and she's, as she said, feel powerful.
But all of that changes Monday, when the D.C. Department of Consumer and Regulatory Affairs will designate this area as a no vending zone. Not something the vendors were wanting to hear.
We have become like a community. We're like family.
Vendors tell us they started receiving notification on Friday with these flyers. They also say this sign went up over the weekend. But Yvette Weir, who also happens to be a dentist, is hoping this isn't the end for good.
This is just life in the streets. I'm an extrovert, and I'm like, I love it. So I'm looking for more opportunities like this.
Another chance to share stories, foster community, and of course, sell items. Like the first piece of art Weir sold, a gift for a man's 6th grade daughter who wanted to be an orthodontist.
I thought that was so special. It really, to me, embodied kind of why we're here, empowering each other from a black empowerment standpoint.
Justin Hinton, ABC 7 News.
All right, we're turning to weather right now, and we are reaching a record for the length of days that we've reached 90, but we're saying there's a small window where we might not make it there.
Yeah, well, we're 5th longest record right now, Carl, because we've had 17 days. Today was our 17th 90-degree day in a row. However, tomorrow, some of the models hinting that we might not get to 90. So will we stop at 5th or will we go for number 1? That is the million-dollar question. It'll still feel about the same whether it's 88, 89, or 91, but that's what we'll be watching. Today's high was 90 officially at 2:07 p.m. this afternoon. It was the 17th 90-degree day in a row and the 5th longest stretch. The record is 21 days. If we get up to Thursday, we could tie that record. And if we get to Friday, we could break that record. The question is just, will tomorrow, even Tuesday, the highs will be right around the upper 80s, so it'll be close. Let's talk about what's happening as far as the overall numbers. Now, yesterday we were tied for 5th place, but now we moved into 5th place all by ourselves. As you can see, First and second place have ties for several years. So this is the last time we've had such a big streak since quite a few decades ago. So let's talk about what's happening outside right now, currently across the area. Checking in at 80 degrees at downtown, 79 in Upper Marlboro. Frederick at 72, Leesburg 72, 73 right now down in Fredericksburg. Temperatures all across the area in the 70s and a few 60s off to the west. Dew points are in the mid and upper 60s, so the air is definitely a bit more moist out there, and you can feel some of that mugginess around, and maybe even in some spots that see some of these lingering late showers. Could start off with a little bit of patchy fog tomorrow, so something we'll be keeping an eye out for. Here's the bigger overall picture. A few little scattered showers working their way across the region tonight. One little pocket down to the south and east, and that's where some heavier pockets of rain through Charles County. Now working its way up from a Triangle just across the river, and then on the other side, Port Tobacco Village up towards Waldorf, Hughesville, Friendly, over to Dunkirk, a few showers as well. Futurecast hinting that tomorrow morning should be good to go, but then into the afternoon, maybe a shower or a storm. Not looking as impressive right now on the latest guidance here tomorrow. We could see some clouds lingering in the morning, a mix of clouds and sunshine, and temperatures upper 80s to maybe near 90, depending on how much sun, the winds, and also if we see any of these showers or storms try to fire off in the afternoon. So to start off the week, stray storm tomorrow, mix of clouds and sunshine, upper 80s, 90 on Tuesday, 92 on Wednesday. Keeping our eye on the prize. If we can get a 90-degree day tomorrow, then we are probably going to stay in the 90s through the remainder of the week. The heat and humidity linger, and some storm chances return to the mix Thursday, Friday, and to start off next weekend. Speaking of next weekend, could be back in the mid-90s by then. So the heat is on. And even if we get a little bit of a break tomorrow, it's still pretty hot out there. Olivia, things heating up in sports. What's happening?
It is hot out there, Brian. I can feel it. All right, up next in sports, the wait for the Washington Redskins to change their name may be coming to an end, and sooner than we thought. Plus, DC United was set to match up against Toronto FC this morning, but it was postponed due to COVID-19 related issues. We'll go over that next. Stay with us.
And now, the Toyota Sports Desk, brought to you by your local Toyota dealers.
Well, today may be the last time I address DC's football team as the Washington Redskins. We've been back and forth with when the Redskins will change their name and what the name will be. Well, it was reported moments ago by Sports Business Journal's John Oren that the Washington Redskins will officially retire the name Redskins tomorrow, July 13th. Now, the timeline for when a new name will be announced is unknown due to trademark issues. It's getting real, guys. And related to this, a programming note here, Tuesday night at 7 p.m. on WJLA 24/7, we will continue our town hall series, The Racial Divide, Time for Change. We have former players Fred Smoot, Doc Walker, and many more as we continue the discussion on the Washington Redskins, of course, changing their team name. Now, soccer fans like myself, you probably got up early, ready to go in your gear to watch DC's first match in the MLS Is Back tournament. Then you probably got a little disappointed when you found out the match had been postponed. Minutes before the match was set to kick off, MLS posted on social media that the match between DC United and Toronto FC had been postponed because a player on DC United tested positive for COVID-19 and a Toronto FC player having an inclusive test result. Now, it was reported tonight that the match is rescheduled for tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. We hope it happens. And the DCU player who initially tested positive and the TFC player whose test was inconclusive will not play Monday. They will undergo additional testing, MLS says. But to go more in depth on the situation that happened in Florida this morning, I caught up with Washington Post soccer writer Stephen Goff.
They've had two teams in the past week forced to withdraw because of outbreaks within the team. DC United's been healthy. Most of the teams here are healthy, but they're all staying in one place. The league has protocols in place in case something like this happens. They isolate the player, they retest. What happens next? We will see. The league says it will continue, that the protocols worked. It could be a case of a false positive.
The men may have not been able to play today, but your Washington Spirit went out on the pitch without Rose Lavelle, who suffered an ankle injury. Spirit midfielder Bailey Feist would put the Spirit on the board early in the first half today, and that would be enough to secure a win in the first round of the NWSL Challenge Cup, beating the Houston Dash 1-0. Well, phase 2 is complete for our Washington Capitals, and beginning tomorrow, they will officially move to phase 3 of NHL's return to play plan. What comes with moving into phase 3? Well, the Capitals announced their increased roster, which includes 20 forwards, 10 defensemen, and 4 goalies. This roster will be broken up into 2 squads, a red team and a blue team. Phase 3 is set to end July 26th, the day the Capitals will depart for Toronto, where the NHL restart is set to take place. And once the Caps are in Toronto, they will play 1 exhibition game before gearing up and getting ready for that 3-game round-robin schedule. DC hockey is making its return. We'll be right back.
All right, so it's time to check in one more time with Brian Vandegraff for a look at the week ahead. Brian.
Yeah, I mean, no matter how you slice it, Carl, it's going to be warm. Whether we get to 88, 89 tomorrow, if we actually make to 90. Our streak of 90-degree days has been 17. Can we stretch it out? Tomorrow will tell. I think just isolated storm chances, but a mix of sun and clouds. It'll be close. If we can get it tomorrow, then maybe we can get it for Tuesday as well and keep that streak going. The record would be tied Thursday, broken on Friday. And no matter how it works out, it's still a hot week all the way through the upcoming weekend.
We'll break the record. All right, Brian, thank you very much. And thank you for joining us. Have a good night.